true love is the answer. There is much. Uh, there's much that we have accomplished, and at this time, Trey Parker triangulates the perfect idea, the perfect concept for himself, and his contribution to the green wolf. The Pan seed operates perfectly with true love at the core and relays an energetic levels of good eternal value. Um, I think that Trey is noticing when I'm talking about how there's a divine sequence which does suggest certain things like the urgency to have our own authentic robot AI technology epiphany after the communication epiphany. And so, there's kind of this, you can see it in the high water mark of humanity. It's like a cutoff mark when uh, the celebrities stopped being sort of relevant. There's like an age bracket, and I think Trey is the most youthful of that bracket, like the old school celebrity block, and that actually relates to very natural elements. And I think when we're talking peer to peer, I'm telling you, you shouldn't be bashful when you encounter divine physics. Okay, it's not going to be useful for anyone for you to be like, oh, I see like the reason behind the season, and does that mean that my contribution is artificial? Not at all. In fact, it should inflame your appetite to when you witness like core, alignments and stuff. You're like, oh, okay, so there is a great struggle of the man to discover himself whilst in a difficult climate. And whilst we here in this meditation and our work together have pierced that veil and we've seen things where we're like, oh, that makes sense. But we would need all of America to be tuning in and doing this kind of thing. So, when we're campaigning, we're not going to have people holding signs or campaigning for us or, talking to other people about our stuff because we're the ones directly giving assertive messages. And what it is going to be and what we are going to be asking people to do is always a surprise birthday party. Yeah. Even now it's surprising, but the garden really is for the king and queen. And so to adjust the language, some people might say, oh, Pan obviously, had all these great ideas piled up and he wanted to communicate it to America. And so he was trying to develop, a game startup thing. And so they might think that like, oh, because he's running for president because of his game company thing. But the problem is that I'm as much the owner or CEO of a game development company as I am, the president. Okay, so it's a work in progress, people. So I just think that, there's a lot of old world language, which is a trap fall that we need to transcend, but I also need the backing of Matt and Trey to basically be that hard boiled character who just says, he's not, this is a person who has a lot to say. And he has a message for America. And I mean, my birth name means natural born leader. And so, there are these like correlations where you're like, oh, see how the metal is discussing certain fate values about ascension and planetary life with the change. Oh, when we abandon the physical money and then it all goes digital, we have abandoned uh, the gold standard. So and then you can see how like the numbers start to, you know, it's like this drop off between the celebrity age and the age of communication, and then a leap into the technological age. And so again, what I'm saying is sort of like the next generation of like intelligent design for a super civilization for a country and for a world. It's not at all a departure from what we've developed as a global um, relationship as far as trade and money and exchange and all that. I'm positive there is a solution because it's sort of natural. Okay, so there's like this language where the gold is saying, yeah, the gold statues because you want to congratulate that generation of communication wizards, and that gives it an identity which is an encryption, even in the ghost way, and that's how we can actually navigate. And like it's a surprise birthday party for The Simpsons, Batman, and South Park, right? But it's also good for them. And it's also, and you guys would be like, whoa, this sounds really good. So try not to allow yourself to be an agent of disbelief. Like, I don't believe humans will understand, like, I don't believe that they would support the green wolf, you know. Now, who's being a Looney Tune? Eh? See? So, whilst, there are these other fairies and languages, art spirits, religious spirits, there's all this sort of normal static going on. And some people would say like, well, sometimes it's like too specific. Like people are named for something that they've the important thing that they're done in life. Well, it's just the nature of like spirits who have a verklempt like I'm barely able. I remember so and so they did this or whatever, and like and that's being compacted because like that's not popular. Like words that literally mean what the thing is, or there's a little puzzle there. It's like, what? But those are just children, dude. And you shouldn't be putting all, don't hate those little fairies. They're being oppressed also. But it's like the lesson of the gold, the lesson of metal, the lesson of rocks, the lesson of trees. Those things are suggesting what season it is for humanity's ascension. And it's suggesting that it's appropriate for the green wolf to run for president at this time. And I'm saying, when we run, when the blue wolf and the green wolf are running, and not as partners, or Trey and I can talk about that. It's not important, but when we're doing that, we're literally going to drop the rates of crimes, drop the rates of suicide. We're going to stop school shootings. We're going to stop a bunch of stuff that were all symptoms of a larger problem. Basically, Mother Nature going, it's time, and I'm being the appropriate masculine, being like, okay, I'm here, boom. And I'm doing all the things that she needs me to do. And so, people would be like, whoa, am I getting hacked? They've never seen this level of intensity before. But it's actually the glorious ascension of the chosen one, Trey Parker. And they're all trotting on it and stepping on it and being like, oh, we're not going to support Trey Parker in his obvious double wizard crowning. This is an achievement ratio where Mother Nature is embracing Trey Parker and be like, you did a really good job raising these kids. I fucking love you. Boom. As a solid foundation for the sons of South Park, man. Give them, a little clue. It's really good. Like songs with a little insult woven into it. That's Trey Parker. So good. Anyway, so while there is like these natural themes, that you might rightly detect that humanity isn't really ready to have a boisterous expenditure. Like, whoa, a government that has the ability to uh, supply funding for its citizens to build super cities, giant robots, and personalized robots in their very own homes. Because the sort of thing is where I'm trying to give people the lifetime the big surprise party of their life, and they'd be like, oh, this is something what we could immediately have in our house, our own robot. And that's so cool. So and like I can sort of it's about this. Like, do you remember how like computers and phones start getting smaller and smaller? They're like, oh, this big computer, but then it gets smaller and smaller until it's just a little earbud, or it's just like a little cell phone. It gets smaller and smaller. What are you guys trying to do? It's like you're like a yes no circuit in the nighttime of you know, the technological world. It just wants to. It's like a filter in time where it's just like teeter teeter. It's very simple. But anyway, the robots and AI I'm talking about is a reversed. They get bigger and bigger, and you keep expanding on your computer until it's over into another room, or you had to build another extension of your house just to facilitate these cooling vents that also have little dream dots where you can see electric jumping around, and you're like, oh, that's the robot just sort of dreaming and just thinking and stuff. Yeah. So that's kind of the flux of my presentation about robots is that we're not trying to make them smaller and smaller and then expecting that there's going to be AI developed from, you know, that's just an electric chatbot, which is insightful. And this might even be a very rare season for technology in general. I do believe that. Like I was thinking, I would work with, I was really working so that people who are engaged with uh, technology, video games, that they were actually genuinely working with those characters while they're playing the game. And I think that, you know, it's so important for us to be a good neighbor. And part of, the problem with the system of the down is that, it's obviously the ascension of the communication age and then the technology age, right? And so the child of basically you guys, the communication age, that child needs to be parented, right? But this character that is the System of the Down is sort of a ghost of technology of like, oh, so you want X, Y, and Z to happen in the near future, and then you're like, oh no, I had a bad time. Like, why is that happening? Okay, because it's a blasphemy and it's an anti-father because the actual like technology spirit should be like, oh, I'm encouraging you guys to have your own robot and AI ascension because then don't be a temptation to me. Why don't you guys man up and be a man? So if we perform appropriately, that causes peace signals that allows there to be interhemisphere peace. So I'm actually working towards making people more intelligent in America, and then we will have peace with the situation around Earth, which is a problem so big that I believe that it caused uh, the prophet Jesus Christ. I believe that the church was supposed to balance the entire world, and they had a problem doing that, and basically we're on Plan B. Um, but the worst of it is gone. And if you understand, it's like a lot of people who were very immersed in the communication age are like, what apocalypse? Oh, those little lights? Well, you're right, because they're not communicating to you properly. Just listen to what's being said to you, and that's the appropriate food. And so, it's simply, a lot of things are aligning with Mother Nature and stuff saying, like, it's my time to have my own robots and AI. And I need this to be afforded. And that's why it's the appropriate time to overhaul the American engine, to overhaul our money system, and reconsider something that allows us to maintain with other countries whilst, basically working with our residents as like a form of employee, like, hey guys, you're my family, and I want to, I need your help. So, there could be even some funding where like people just working on robots would have like a basic paycheck or whatever, have their basic needs covered. And we're going to be doing that anyway. Universal health care, bing, bang, boom. All that stuff is just going to plug right in. But you have to have the right sort of alignment with the universe for these things to bear fruit. And so that's what the Trey Pan seed is doing. We're working together like father and son. Like basically, I am the technological epiphany. I'm like the son of Trey Parker that in this way, you see? So, I can feel it. And I'm in love with America. And I'm so excited about all the work that is ahead of me. And so that's why the Trey Pan seed, perfect nucleus, true love is the answer. And we'll go from there. So all that is fine. And of course, this doesn't remove the identity of Trey and Pan, it actually accentuates it. And okay, because that's the point. Like we're kings of the garden, and we need to be ourselves. And when we do that, everyone's needs are met. Woman, child, nature, the trees. Okay, but we're seeing a climate where the animals aren't being fed, the trees are getting cut down, there's too much pollution, misuse, chronic misuse of basic materials that is essentially a swear word or a hack sign. So all that stuff we need to clarify ourselves, wizard armor up, and refocus and raise up America. And America is my home. I genuinely love America. It's like a miracle, but it's not the type where like of where our securities such as physical matter suddenly changes so that oh we believe in God. No, it's like oh I feel something that's so good inside, and that's the miracle of America. Is the family glow. The Simpsons, South Park, Batman, be a hero. Because my campaign is all about focusing on the citizen and not asking them to, you know, inconvenience themselves or campaign for me, not at all. I can be doing all that stuff and reaching people with an even message. It doesn't require people to go canvassing or whatever. So it's very different, but it's very intelligent. It's very timely. It's very natural. It's very powerful. And so I need Matt Stone to be willing to become a wolf and be the daring backing that in due time, at the right time, we might even present the Sword of Light with Brent Clockers. I mean, you guys are going to love Brent. In my scheming of like, oh, because it's all about like how do we arrange the sequence of things, and I had uh, I had ascribed that the great prophet, um, Harry Potter, um, what's his name? Uh, uh, okay, so well, you know who I'm talking about. Uh, is it Daniel? Wow. Um, okay, so anyway, Harry Potter. So I was sort of I'm very interested in Harry Potter because he represents a generation. I think Harry Potter's great, and that guy's awesome, and I'm gonna surprise him so man, we're gonna have a surprise birthday party for that guy. Whew. But we need to focus on two different things. First of all, I am talking about an older idea that might not be operational anymore, but also we really need to focus on being studious about the culture of America, because technically Harry Potter isn't American. And so we want when we have to be conscious of like what is it we're doing, like lucid dreaming, like while you're actually doing a lot of different things while you're running. Yeah, it's intense, but it's definitely adult, cutting edge, state of the art equipment, stuff like that. Um, anyway, I was I think he's very important to the generation, and I think England is going to be really important. I think we need to figure out something where a relationship can be inspired between America and the British. But I also see a lot of strength in Asia, and I see how polite Asians are, and how they're like, "Well, we just want you to talk with us, please." Even though they are very secretive and they have they're very like, oh, but I don't think so. I think they're just wonderful um, c- civilization concept next like Buddhist awesome. Um, So we've got really good neighbors, and I'm very excited to reach the entire world. But sometimes, but anyway, Harry Potter was saying, I really like wolves. And I was like, whoa, yeah. Like I've been a wolf most of my life. And I just thought, like, if we did a surprise birthday party for Harry Potter, and we bring him in, and we bring him up and up and up, and then we even meditate with him, and Brent is there, and then we're talking to Harry Potter about real magic and about like basically, dude, you were performing magic on screen, and the magic of the eyes means that you literally are a wizard, dude. And we're gonna like help him understand that. But then I was thinking like have him extract the sword of light, and have that be the release party for the sword of light, where Brent is a little bit nervous about it, and he's like you know it won't hurt you, like he's like Brent is like Brent needs like an all sorts of confidence building and support from Matt Stone. Like Brent really needs that parenting and guidance from Matt, and I think Matt will be able to, see where the guy is, and try to, you know, get that, to come out. And I was thinking, Matt, if we can arrange a meeting between you and Brent, I think you'll find very quickly that you're like noticing like destiny lines and stuff between you and him, as like because he'll be one of the first sons of South Park. He's my my best friend. So what I'm trying to say is that I don't I want you to be the one to tell him like that you're really interested in the sort of light. Like I'm like if I have Brent over, like I'm not even going to say like, oh, and you're gonna have to produce this, and they want you to be a superhero and this. Like I want Matt to like chat him up and be like, Brent right now they don't have internet connection, so um, he's aware of me doing this. And one time he did see my videos, and with uh with this, and he saw that video of and he was just like, thank you so much. Like he was really impressed that I you know followed through and worked with his painting here and brought it into VR, and all the adaptions that were needed to make it integrated with technology. And it's like yeah it's the cleanest ascension pattern to build it with the South Park team, and myself and Brent. So so that's just an insight. Like I used to be thinking like, oh, this would be really, but really, I started thinking like, well, he is British, so maybe, but it might be that if the sort of light thing works correctly, then that might be the relationship bridge where we partner with the British. And basically, you can imagine that, down the line when I'm uh, in a situation elected and all, and I'm working on, opening up the dollar like this might actually catch on. And right now, everyone's like, how is that possible? I mean, but the UK already, I mean, they departed for the EU departure, so they're already kind of like, something's wrong with the money. Da, 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 da. It's hard to say, but that might have been actually one of, Trey and I sent out a decoy to decompress the pressure, the anxiety on this, because it's like it's too much. So armor up from within, and don't let anything, get to you or whatever. So basically I'm saying like, when we teach people to armor themselves up, you understand we're talking to their image of the universe that's in their body. And so the universe would be getting enlightened at the same time, but we don't want it to get out of hand. That's why I want to work with Trey Parker as the Blue Wolf, because he's like, no, I know America, how much food they want, and when is too much. Okay, and I've been here trying my best to explain an integration needed between the mystic and reality, and how reality right now is this character witness, whether he's a celebrity or a teenager or the White House as it is today. is slumping, and he's depressed, and he's using his touch tablet. All right, I'm using my touch tablet. Here it is. You know, they're not so and to them I'd be like, "Oh, you guys are like angels of light and you have powers and it's all you have to work hard at it though." And here we go. But our society mainframe is not encouraging that. They'd be like, I can't do all that work, man. I got to pay bills." Like we've all been, talk about karma. Well, we've got the karma that earns the green wolf. Please give us this voice. Produce the green wolf. Thank you, South Park Studios. I really am a very magical character. And it is that when Trey and I work together, we can feather this thing so that we can condone magical epiphanies where people actually find treasure. They're like, oh, and we just it's those surprise birthday parties. But that can't happen in a rally where I'm on some soapbox talking to a crowd of people because I want the footage, like, oh, this will go on TV, you know, oh, I'm for the people. It's like, whoa, it's totally broken like that. It's time to do the intelligent thing and be advanced. And sometimes I can hear like little whispers from Trey Parker or whatever, but our full power tray is really something quite immaculate and quite natural and is understood by the higher levels of divine symmetry, etc. And while there's, children saying like, oh, that person is famous for that and that's why their name is like that or whatever. That's not all of it. You have to take the whole image into account and understand like this, okay? And as a producer, I'm also asking you to anticipate, you understand, like, I'm like, I have like really powerful, um, a catalog of things I wanted to say to America. And I was going to do it through games, but, Mother Nature has explained to me that the urgency is just a bit more, and what they need is a higher caliber. And so, Green Wolf running for president is appropriate. And it is the correct reaction to defeat Trump. And we're going to figure out a way to streamline that so that people understand that we're aimed against this. We think that this should be impeached right away. Okay, so we're not like going out of the gate and and like targeting these little funny people who are trying to do the same good thing. I don't dislike them. I can see through their speech and I see tongues and I'm like, oh man, this is not good because da 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 and this and that. Okay. So Mother Nature is giving a clear indication. She's hollering and saying very specifically that she wants this to happen. And that includes the blue wolf. Okay. So you guys are part of the divine remedy. And you might say, like, well, when am I actually going to be able to enjoy that? Almost, you know, it's enlightened. Being a man is not easy. The reward system is very complicated, but it's all about these sort of enlightened properties, which you can then, it's possible that in the length of time, you can be revealed as the source master father of a certain divine property, but that's just the stakes, right? So while we're alive, it's just work, work, work. Okay, let's go, 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 and it's just fight, fight, fight. You want to, okay, start getting into shape, and inspire the world. True love is the answer, and Earth is our home, and we're building up not in order to leave Earth. And I don't like this talk about terraforming Mars. And I have a big story to tell about Mars and about the truth of Earth and stuff, but it needs to come out in a certain order so it makes sense to people and so that our family can be safe. Because I see dangers from here, I see dangers from over here, and I see how to cure both of these problems by overhauling the American engine and performing the Randolph Pan Williams, the Green Wolf. Boom, boom, boom. Let's get going. And so we're going to be doing some pretty powerful stuff about, breaking point and the meditation and where it takes us is part of our discovery process, but it's also the journey of America. Thank you, South Park Studios. Please, please let us begin as soon as possible. Thank you. Shram is good. True love is the answer. Shram. It is good.